financial education is all about life. If you don't have the ability to manage your finances well, you will never grow as an individual, and even if you have a business, that business can never grow. So people say that even if I have a lot of money, I will be able to solve all my problems. But the reality is, it's not about how much you're making, it's how much you're spending, or how you use whatever you are earning. Because you may find someone anapata mshahara over 200k, 500,000 per month, but anaishi a very miserable life. Ako na mashida mingi, ako na madeni mingi, lakini kuna ule mwenye is a security somewhere, ana earn 20,000 a month, na ako sawa, na anaishi maisha yake vizuri sana. So it doesn't matter how much you earn. How you use that money is what matters. And mostly, the areas that are really important to focus on is how you plan your money, that is under budgeting, saving, and then how you manage your debts. Because debts can either build you or then destroy you, as you're going to see in the future presentation. So personal management, money management is a process of balancing one individual income, financial needs, wealth, desires, and goals. And mostly they revolve around these areas. Income, savings, spending, investing, and protection. So income is the money that is coming in. Saving is what pesa unaweka kando for future use. And I'll explain, spending is how you use your money, which is okay because you are allowed to spend your money the way you want. And that is why I was asking, is there a right way to spend money? And there's no right or wrong answer, wrong or right way. It depends on the person. Because whatever I value is different from yours, your values. Your goals are different from mine. So how I spend my money, you should not copy me. It should be determined by your desires, your goals, and what you need to, what are your needs. Are we together? So usione mwenye anapiga sherehe ukasema tena tumia pesa yake vibaya, maybe goal yake ni kujibamba, which is unachieve. Sasa, but wewe, if you are copying him because you're doing it because your friend is doing it, then wewe ni unatumia pesa vibaya, because that is not maybe your goal, that is not your need, that is not your desire. Are we together? So, hakunanga to the right way or the wrong way. It depends with you. But what matters is, if you are spending your money, are you spending it wisely for the right purposes? Now, the right purpose is according to you. What is right for me? So, that is what that is about spending and then investing. We usually say that if your saving is okay, but pesa ikiwa kwa bank haikusaidii. Pesa ikiwa kwa bank haikusaidii sana, ama ikiwa imewekwa mahali kando haikusaidii sana. Why? Because if you have, for example, like 20,000 Kenya shillings, uiweke kwa bank ikae for more than a year, haujaitumia, you say it is a saving, then kuna kitu inaitwa inflation. Inflation inakufanya nini? Okay, in short, shopping must today. Mnafanyanga average shopping ya pesa ngapi kwa semester? Ama inakuwa ni per month? Ni per month, eh? Okay, per month. Average ni pesa ngapi per month? Wacha niulize nani. Madam, kuna jacket ya blue. Shopping yako ya mwezi ni pesa ngapi?
Sema kipi tutamuulize angependa iko ya ngapi?
Kuna yenye anafanya na kuna yenye angependa. Okay, okay, basi ungependa iko ya ngapi? Ufanye ya ngapi? 3,000, eh? So with that 3,000, uko which year? Third year. If I can ask you, with that 3,000, zile vitu unaweza tumia kununua na hiyo 3,000 saa hii, na zenye ulikuwa na the same 3,000 ungepewa ukiwa first year, ungetununua the same things ama ungenunua more? So it means that ukiwa first year vitu zilikuwa a bit cheap, si ndio? Sasa vitu zime expensive. With 3,000 2 years ago, ungefanya a lot more than what you can do right now. So that is because of inflation. And that's why we say sometimes, yes, saving is good, but don't save a lot of money, ibaki kwa bank, any high grow. You can invest in areas that can generate income or can grow your money, and that is what we call investing. Investing is putting your money where you know it will grow with a period of time. And then protection. Protection now is what we call financial security, where you know that you have no worries. Economy ikikuwa mbaya, inflation ikipanda, hata serikali ikisema as long as uko na ID unalipa ushuru, wewe hauna wasiwasi. It's because you have that financial protection. And how do you achieve that? You achieve that by ensuring that you have a stable income, and if possible some savings, and you have also invested. So these are the areas. When we talk about personal money management, these are the areas that we focus on: income, savings, spending, investing, and protection. So on budgeting, there's a question I asked you: do you know how to budget? But nobody seems to give me an answer. But generally, with a budget, you can be able to answer the question how much money is coming in, where the money goes, and how the money is used or spent. So, and there's this rule that is very common. We call it the 50-30-20 rule of budgeting, whereby we say, if possible, 50% of your income should go to cater for your needs, 30% should go to your wants, and 20% should go on your savings or creating wealth. So this is a simple rule, but what we usually say, this is not a fixed rule that you must be followed. You can come up with your own rules. You can say that from my income, my needs will go, 70% will be catered by needs, maybe 20% will cater my wants, then 10 to cater my savings. So it doesn't matter which rule that you use, but the key thing is you need to allocate from the income that you get. Ask yourself, how much am I going to spend on my needs? How much am I going to spend on my wants? How much am I going to save? And if you do that, you can come up with your own percentages, or depending on the budget, or the needs, or the interest that you have, or the goals that you have. So you may find on our 30% your wants, shopping, entertainment, hobbies, 30% ni kidogo sana. Wanaweza ongezea taweke 50 na needs zipungue. It's up to you. Sawa. Kuna wale kupiga sherehe is not an important thing. So hapo hata wanaweza weka 5% or even 10% on the wants. Are we together? So it depends with you. It doesn't matter, but this is just a basic rule that is common, but you can come up with your own rule to budget. So an example of a budget is something like this, whereby you have your income, your sources of income with the list, you get the total, then the expenses, you get the total, and then you ask yourself, are you getting a surplus or a deficit? A surplus is whereby after umetoa all the expenses from your income, umebaki na kakitu. That then you have a surplus. But in most cases you find expenses always exceeds the income. Then you have a deficit. So if you want to come up with a budget, you can just come up with a table like this, where one side unaandika the list of your incomes, list of your expenses, and if the expenses zinazidi the income, you try to unachuja moja moja depending with the least important one. And I appreciated when I asked what is financial management, someone said that it is prioritizing. Yes. So, you prioritize. What are the most basic things? Hizo ndio zinakuwa juu. Then zingine zinakuja baadaye. Kama budget yako haitoshi, income yako haitoshi, expenses, you start eliminating the least important ones, so that you try to balance and make sure that the income matches your expenses. Savings is all about putting our money aside for future use. And with this, it can help you to build wealth. Because with the saving culture, it is like, it creates a certain security. You know that you have something somewhere, or an asset somewhere, some money somewhere, whereby you believe ukiharibika sahi, naenda tu nichomoe ama niuse this asset or something like that, and I'll be able to be back on my feet. So, savings is the cornerstone to success, and if you don't have that saving culture, then you can never succeed or grow, especially at a personal level. So, with the saving culture, we say it is a journey. It is a journey. Hawezi anzia tu na uanze kusave tu vizuri mara moja. It will be difficult. So the key thing is, you have a foundation whereby you have, first of all, the knowledge to manage your finances, and that is what we are doing right now. Alafu, if possible, you come up with a stable inflow of cash. Ukuwe na stable income. So if you do that, you have now a protection stage, whereby you get things like insurance for your health, because things that really affect our income ni vitu kama magonjwa, accidents, vitu kama hizo. So when you reach that you have a stable inflow, now think as yourself about how do I protect myself. So I can protect myself by getting health insurance, I can protect myself by getting a car insurance, life insurance, things like that. So that is now the protection stage. And then we find that people, wanaonanga kulipa insurance kama NHIF is a waste of time. But it really helps. Wakati utagonjeka, ndio utajua it will really help you. Because kugonjeka haipigangi hodi. Or when you want to get sick, like you feel kitu kanakwambia, I want to make you sick. Do you? No. So inakujanga tu upfront, unajipata kwa mgonjwa, unahitaji madawa, huna do, but if you have an insurance, you'll be catered for. Then the other stages increase, whereby now you ask yourself, yes, I have a stable income. Yes, I have protected myself maybe through insurance and other ways. So how do I increase my income? How do I increase my money? How do I increase my grow my development? So at that time now, we start now saving to achieve a specific goal for personal development. You start saving to achieve a specific goal, and then eventually, if you do that continue to do that day by day, you reach now this stage where we call actualization, where you have wealth and assets, and you have your financial freedom. The other topic that I was to discuss was about debt management. And as you can see from this image, this guy was swimming very well, but now because of debts, you can see he's struggling to keep afloat, right? This is what debts do to people. Ukikuwa na madeni mingi, unajipata you're struggling to keep afloat. So that is what I said, that debts are good sometimes, zinaokoleanga, but too much of it, if they are not planned well, unapata zinaweza kuangusha ama zinaweza kubomoa. So borrowing money to make critical purchases might help you realize your aspirations. But if the debt If debt payments become too much for you to handle, then it becomes a bad debt, and it can help make you to live a miserable life. So spending behavior is the key to successful debt management. And on this, we ask ourselves, if I'm borrowing money, why am I borrowing it? Is it for a good purpose? Am I for something that itanibamba tu na niishe? For example, like my sister said, if he goes to the supermarket, aona kitu inambamba, ataomba, even if he had not budgeted for it. She'll borrow so that to buy it. But ask yourself, is that if you borrow like that, how will you be able to pay that money? If you don't have an answer for that, utapata hiyo deni inaweza kusumbua kulipa, or hata ukilipa it affect other things that you do, or maybe it will make you not even to meet your basic needs. So if you're in that situation, now we say that is now a bad spending behavior, because you're borrowing money to spend for the wrong reasons. Then ikiwezekana wacha ikuwe ni an emergency, something that you know it is important, that you cannot, you have to do it, but you don't have the muscle at that time. So if that is the case, probably then it is a book. Okay? And then you also ask yourself, if I borrow this money, how am I going to repay it? Where am I going to get the sources to repay it? If you don't have a question, an answer for that, afadhali hiyo deni ikae. Are we together? And something that I like to mention, to students. Students, hakuna watu wanaopuuzanga mambo ya CRB kama wanafunzi. Wangapi tuko CRB? You know that guy called CRB? Do you know what he or she does? Basi mnajua aje mko CRB? Hamjakopa? Sema wewe utakopa. But kuna wanafunzi wenye we say that unafuliza, unatupa line, unanunua ingine, unafuliza nayo, unakopa nayo tena, unatupa line, and the cycle continues until ifika mahali. Uzuri siku hizi Safaricom, I think they have a limit. Huwezi kuwa na malines mingi, waliona iko na ukora mingi. So, and umewekwa CRB due to maybe some mafuliza. Nowadays also we have apps za kupeana loans. Ndio? Tunatumianga gani? Zenka, Tala, T-Cash. I know we are all members, hata kama tuongee. But if you don't pay, what usually happens? Wanakuweka kwa CRB. CRB ni mahali penye ni kama wanakuanika, whereby everybody in the whole country can be able to know that wewe ni mtu huo unakopa na haulipi. And how does that affect you negatively? First, in future, unaweza fika mahali unahitaji loan, mahali utanyimwa. But one thing that students don't know, sometimes you may lose a job opportunity because of the CRB. You may lose a job opportunity because of CRB. Unapata ya kwamba kabla wako admit, they usually check, especially kama in the banking sector, kama Equity. Kama unataka kufanya kazi Equity, hata ukiapply na kwa CRB hauwezi pata hiyo job. Banking sectors zinakuwa na other institutions, including even some government institutions who are they check, because they usually ask themselves, if this person amekopa mahali maybe even 2 years ago hajalipa, it means yeye ni mkora. Ni kweli. Sio umeibia hiyo kampuni, hiyo tika, hiyo zenga, si umewibia pesa na unakosa kuwalipa. Kumaanisha wewe ni mko. So wanakujudge before even they see you, see how you can do the job. Wamesha kujudge that you have a bad character. So you may lose an opportunity because of a simple thing as being listed negatively on CRB. So be very careful on the loans. So hata kama pesa is easily accessible, be very careful. Sasa, yes? So to achieve financial freedom, there's also a journey whereby you start with a career, whether you can decide to be employed somewhere or start a business, and then from there you become financially smart, whereby you track, minimize the expenses as much as you can, save as much as you can, and spend wisely. From there, you start now different, you look for different income generating activities. That is what we call side hustles, because you can never grow with only one source of income. So you need to have different sources. Usitegemee source moja. Hata kama utaajiriwa, hata kama utakuwa na biashara in the future, have different sources of income so that you can be able now to generate wealth and grow yourself.
Question about topic of
for 30 seconds before.
About investments. So nowadays, everything, all the futures come with everything. We invested in a So is there a criteria to know what is legitimate, what is not legitimate?
There is a lot of con artists out there, but one thing you need to understand is there's nothing like free money. Okay? Kuna hizi platforms zenye nakwambianga sijui subscribe with this amount, sijui invite people, sijui alafu kikuwa na una create like a pyramid scheme. Unapata dough from just inviting people. If you see a platform where inakupromise a lot of goodies na tunapata pesa mingi within a short period of time, high chances it is a scam. Because for example, like if you invest, for example, in things like shares or government bonds or something, they give you an interest of like 10% or to 15%. But now, kuna zingine nakwambia, ukiweka 1,000 within a week, utakuwa unapata sijui 500 every week. These are mostly the scams. So don't invest in such platforms. And then before investing into something, you're a digital team. Research about this. What are other people saying about this investment platform? What are they satisfied with this organization? Are they happy about that? Have they been able to succeed through the platform or the company? If yes, then you can go with it. If no, wachana nayo. Alternatively, ask maybe I can give out my number. After this, you can always contact or reach out to anybody that you think that has the knowledge and skill set to assist you or support you, to guide you on how you can invest the money. But if the deal is too good, just think twice.
Good morning, everyone. I've seen that you have been seated here for a long while. So before I begin my presentation, I want to engage us for a little bit. So today's topic is literally about financial literacy. So I believe we have a few finances on us. So I want us to start. I know I was not asked to do this, but I do it anyway. I want us to start. And if you have cash, whether it's e-cash or look for the smallest amount, it can be a coin like this, like 10 bob. So what I want to do is I'm going to say walk, and then you will walk around the room, and then when I say stop, you will stop, and then the person who will be with you, what you're going to do is you're going to share with them the best advice you have ever received. Doesn't have to be related to cash. The person whose advice is the most convincing, you will exchange the money to them. Yes. So it needs to be the least amount. So whether it's 10 bob or 20 bob, and in the age of e-cash, you can send 20 bob. This can be a good opportunity to exchange numbers if you use it wisely. So I'm going to say walk. Just walk around the room. Walk. Find someone, walk. Guys are not walking, walk. Walk. And stop. Alright, so remember to introduce yourself, your name, what it is that you do, and then the best advice you've ever received. The person who convinced the other one gets the cash. Alright. Minute, guys, just one advice. Alright, hear my voice, clap once. Hear my voice, kindly clap once. Hear my voice, clap twice. We can resume our seats now. Alright, I want to hear 3 people who own money. 3 people who are able to get a bit of cash. Whose advice was the best? Anyone? Yes, I want 2 more people. I have one hand here. Someone else who was able to win some cash. So just have 2, 1 more. Okay, maybe someone who gave out their money. Okay, so let's start with you, then we'll go to the gentleman at the back, and then we'll start. Madam CEO, what was your advice?
Invest wisely.
Pardon?
I told you to invest wisely.
How much did you win?
Okay.
Thank you, Alaba. Good afternoon.
My advice was one of them.
What was the advice?
Because as much as you're getting into, particularly students who are finishing the school, campus students, when you're getting into like as much as the video already are being self-stable. Think about the future, and in the future in the sense that if you're thinking of having kids, don't delay so much. You don't take kids to be so tender. You want them as more people normalize high school education. So that when you're retired, you don't have so much of a burden for taking care of the kids at the same time.
When we retire, come on, wamemaliza shule. Okay, interesting. Lastly, yes.
Her advice to me was, don't use more than you can. Get so much self and invest a lot of money.
Even by giving another advice, you lost also. Something I realized is when you have money and you're walking down, still things start calling you. And they start calling you. As in the money normally not so comfortable in the pocket. As in you just walk, and then there's a level of confidence that when you have money, money can give you. You know, you walk into a neighbor's supermarket and they were like, where is the most expensive television? That one I can afford. You know, you walk here and it's because there is this habit that money has, that if you do not take care, it comes and it can go as quickly as it comes. So that begs the importance of us to understand why is it important for us to understand a bit about financial literacy. So maybe echoing what my co-speaker had shared. So I'm going to be sharing about 3 things to help us improve our financial literacy. One is something I will say, be aware. I'm a Christian, and there's a verse in Ecclesiastes chapter 10 verses 19. It says, money answereth all things. That money can solve all problems. Literally, we all need money. As much as, pardon? Yes. Ecclesiastes chapter 10 verses 19. It says, money answereth all things. I know most of the time when we hear about money, we normally hear the words that says money is the root of all evil. But it's how you spend the money. But literally, money answered all things. For this event to be here, we needed money. For you to be in school, you needed money. So money in itself is not a bad thing. But then we need to be able to keep track of this money. Otherwise, it can be the cost of our downfall. So the first lesson I wanted us to learn is be aware. And I say be aware, what do I mean? We need to keep track of the money that we get. And this is a simple way. Many times in our classes or in school, no one teaches you about financial literacy. There is no class that you will see that someone will tell you, this is how you spend the money. Actually, Elon Musk once said that it is easier to make 10,000 than to save 10,000 because saving is not easy. It takes a lot of sacrifice to live beyond or below your budget. So lesson number 1 is be aware, and this is something I'm going to task you today, this week, and this month. Try to keep track of your money. You know, if you can have, because right now we live in a digital age where you can be able to track. So if you can try to track where you spend each and every coin. It's not an easy thing, but then it will help to create awareness of how you spend your money. Because most of the time we get to realize that if we are not aware, we normally are not able to differentiate whether we are spending our money on needs or we are spending our money on wants. So the task number 1 is for you to be aware, for you to be able to take charge of your financial literacy, your financial or the finances that you have. Then you need to track. So the challenge I task you to do is 1, track your money. Every coin, every money that you receive, write it down. So it can be through an app. When you Google, there are several apps that can help you in doing this, or it can be through a pen and paper. Just write it. Niliamka asubuhi, nikafulizia ule deni kama wewe ni boy, niliamka asubuhi. Depends with whatever thing that you use your money for. Track it day, week, and month. That way it will give you an overall 360 view to know where are you spending your money, and then you can be able to keep track of where you can be able to make necessary cuts and necessary budget. So once you have been able to be aware, then it's easier for you to improve. So once you know that a lot of time, like for example, I know I'm a fan of that, I'm a fan of YouTube and stuff like that. So before I used to think that I used not to think that I was spending a lot of cash. I was spending less cash on that. But after tracking, I realized, these offers are Safaricom, the way they're enticing. 1 GB, 200 minutes. Before you know it, you are spending a lot of cash on unnecessary things that you don't know. So once you know where you are spending your money, then it's easier for you to spend with it, whatever it is that you like. But we need to keep track. So once you're able to keep track of where your money is going, then you are able to improve and then prioritize. Secondly, after you've been aware, I need you to take charge. Taking charge is what my first people was saying, budgeting. So once you know where your money is going, it's easier to track and allocate several, how you're going to allocate or plan for your money. They say, simple rule is, don't save after you have spent, but spend after you have already done what? After you have already saved. So that is like the first thing. So the first thing is just using the 50-30-20 rule. 50% should go into your needs. These are things that you need on a day-to-day basis. Like for me, for example, because I'm not in school, I need to pay rent, I need to pay for Wi-Fi, I need to pay for food, I need to pay for fare and going going to work. So these are things that you need so that you can survive on a day-to-day basis. So you should be able to allocate 50% on that. 30% should be allocated on wants. One of the rules or sometimes the failures that we have for us not to succeed in our financial literacy is after a session like this, utapata mtu ameenda amepiga budget yake na hajaweka budget ya sherehe. To be honest, you can't survive without sherehe. Sherehe doesn't mean how you do it in excess, but you must have budget for fun because we need it. You must have a budget for fun. Only the thing is you need to regulate the amount of fun that you have. But to be honest, it's literally impossible to live without some form of fun in one way or another. And fun can be a lot of things. For me, for example, it can be, I like watching movies, so it can be Netflix. For another person, it can be, they like watching football, so it can be, it depends. But eventually, trust me, if you do that daily thing or weekly thing, you realize somehow, kuna pesa tu inaendaga kwa sherehe. Annoying. So the thing is, instead hiyo sherehe umalize, so when we imalize by budgeting for that. So 30% normally is for wants, the things that you need to make your life better. So for example, it can be airtime you need. It's important to communicate, right? So you need to improve on your airtime. The things that you need to make your life. For example, umeenda soko umegundua there are certain shoes that I need. So you need to buy those shoes. Because at the end of the day, we are human beings. And the mistake that we make in our financial literacy is we end up paying a lot of other people and forget to pay ourselves. So when you're taking charge, is you're remembering to pay yourself. And how do you pay yourself? By that 20% which is savings. Savings is the one you're paying yourself. So when you have all this 30%, actually you're not paying yourself. Because when you're paying for smocha or you're paying for that share, that money is going to someone else. So 20% should be used on your savings and your debt management. So how do you pay yourself? So this should be the first thing that you do. Many times when you get money, let's say you are earning like for example 50,000, rent to pay someone else because that's not money coming to you. You end up paying for transport, that is money you're giving to someone else. You end up paying for whatever bills that you're paying for, you end up paying someone else. But the first rule for you to grow, you need to also learn how to pay yourself. How you pay yourself is through what my brother was saying, you save. When you save, paying yourself, because this is money for you. So it's good to save. So save up, and then, so that is taking charge. So remember to pay yourself, remember to appreciate yourself. Appreciate yourself is not buying stuff for you. This is investing in yourself so that your future life can be okay. And in investing in your life, this is what other rules will say, have like 6 months of the monthly income that you spend stored somewhere in case of emergency. This is where you start even thinking about your future. Like for example, many times unasikianga mkienda job, one of the things they ask for you is NHIF, NSSF, na KRP, isn't it? What's the purpose of NSSF? Retirement, isn't it? But we know we live in a generation where we really don't care about our future. But the truth is, one day we will not be able to work. And the more we think about them, we need to start thinking about them now. So we need to start saving up for such days. A simple rule that I was given is life can be divided into 4 quarters. Quarter number 1 is the first 25 years. This first 25 years normally is spent with parents and a lot of time is schooling and college, trying to find something to do. The next quarter is divided normally into half. So after you're done with school, many a time people don't know what is it that they're supposed to do. So between 25 and 35, you spend that time discovering yourself, what it is that you're good at, what it is that you're passionate about, what it is that you really excel in life. Then the last quarter is building that up. So between 35 and 50, you spend that time, perfecting your skill, becoming a professional or a guru in something. And then between 50 to 65, this is the time normally you find you give back. So normally you're mentoring someone who will take over after you, who will be able to grow that craft. And then after 65, not unless you have investment. So if you're planning to live to 100, you need to start saving now. And that is giving back to yourself. So that is something that is very important. Learn to take charge of your life. And so that's the second rule. And then the last rule that I had is take risks. Take risks in the sense that, just as he said, when it comes to savings, savings in themselves don't grow. So there are several ways that you can be able to take risks that can help earn you interest. So we live in a digital era, so this is a good time to learn on things like money marketing fund. When your money is in a money market, it's easier for it to grow and earn more interest when compared to when it is in a bank, for example. Take risk means also you need to also make wise investment decisions. The people who have made it in this life, the people who have been able to create generational wealth, these are people whose money is working for them. I don't know if that makes sense. So you need to be able to grow in such a way that when you are taking a flight to wherever, Thailand or wherever country that is your place of destination, there is money that is working for you. And the best way for that to happen is by making investment. So you need to learn how to take risks. And for you to be able to take risks, you need to have grown your saving capacity and learn these several risks. So the other aspect of taking risks is this topic is so wide and there is no one single formula that can work for everyone. So you need to keep learning. Given that this is a skill that is not taught in school, you need to open your intelligence, and if you are a video person, there are lots and lots of videos on YouTube that you can check out that can advise in terms of how you can be able to invest wisely. Investments range from the simple passive income investments like YouTube, for example. If you are a social media person, it takes time, but over time it can return. So passive income is investments that that not brings you income without you necessarily working for it. Of course, you work during the first period, but it's money that generates naturally. The other things that you can learn, this is a good time to learn about treasury bills and treasury bonds. You can learn about that. So these are forms of passive income where you buy a bond, bonds normally mature for I think 5 years or 10 years, and it gives you money. These are things also to learn about investments of things like education, for example. There was a banana there who was saying something like, it's good to get kids early. And which is a good thing, but then wanasemanga kila mtoto anakuja na sahani yake, sio? Lakini hiyo chakula ni wewe utaweka, sio? So you need to think about the education schemes of how you will be able to take care of your children. And there are several plans, insurance that you can start doing. The moment you get a child, there are several education plans that you can invest in, and it helps lighten the bill. So you need to take risk, and it's calculated risk, not just risking for the sake of risking, but thinking of several ways through which you can be able to grow your income. So there's no one super formula of how you can be able to do something, because we are all unique, we are all gifted differently, but the one thing that is for sure is we need to take charge of our finances. Otherwise, those finances will take charge of us. So we need to take charge. So 3 things I wanted us to learn today was be aware. That means I really task you to go track your cash. Know where you spend your cash. Otherwise, how else will you be able to become financially literate if you are not able to know where your cash is spent? Once you are able to know where your cash is spent, it's easier for you to prioritize, it's easier for you to make improvements and necessary adjustments, because these are some of the areas that I need to do. Once you have been able to do that, then you take charge. Take charge simply means budgeting, allocating your funds to different areas. And how do you budget? Simple rule is, after tracking your cash, have a simple rule where in a month, this is my total income. This is the amount of money that is expected from me, or that I earn from different sources. So if you are a student, this can be the cash that you generate from the parents or the allowances that your parents give you. If you are earning, this can be the cash that you get from your employment gigs. If you are an SME, this can be the profits minus the expenses. So budget is the total expenses. So you need to also have a list of what are some of the things you need every month for you to survive. What are some of these? So this runs from rent, food, shopping, etc., etc. So always it's advised that you have a positive balance rather than a negative balance. Hence the advice, that you should not spend more than you can earn. Another way of putting it is simply saying, you do not stretch your legs beyond your blanket, otherwise you will get cold, isn't it? So you need to learn how you can be able to live within your means, isn't it? Kama kitanda ni ndogo, kuna venye una coin so that you fit within the blanket, isn't it? And so is the rule of life. We need to learn how to coin within our means. And the moment we learn how to save, we can be able to improve. Like for example, let me give you a good example. How many will wish to go to Dubai for a holiday or for a vacation? Yes, good. How many think they can go to Dubai in a year if they save? The budgets to Dubai, if you check places like where are some bonfire adventures, it's around 100,000. A flight to Dubai is around 40,000. The rest is to be spent on where you stay and stuff like that. If you just challenge yourself, you just save 5,000 in a month and you set it aside. You know in a year how much is that? 5 times 12? 60. Actually, a 60 in a good day, easy month, in January, February, you can actually get a day. It may not be Dubai, but it can be Zanzibar, or it can be Zimbabwe. So the trick is if you learn to set aside this small task. When it is big, it appears impossible. But the moment you learn to do it a day at a time, step by step, then it becomes something that you are able to overcome, or you are able to achieve. So all these things are within our means, only if we do our research. Like for example, the only cost in Dubai that is expensive is if you have to pay for a place. But their friends when you walitoka hapa wakaenda Dubai. If you can cut on that cost, let me give you a good example. Maybe Dubai is really perfect. 2 weeks ago, I went for a vacation. Just there in Mombasa, Zimbabwe. But it's there in Dubai. My budget was 15K, and in 15,000, 3 days, charity can attest, I was able to do a lot of things. 3 days, I was able to go to a swimming, I did snorkeling, that is swimming with the fish, I was able to watch dolphins, I was able to go to a park, it's called Vala Park in Mombasa, I was able to go to Jesus, I was able to go to wild waters, I was able to do jet skiing and all that stuff. All this because I was able to budget and I was able to achieve it. The things that made me do this, I was able to cut off my expenditure because I realized instead of paying for a hotel for like 8,000, why not look for a small guest house and you can start and a Wi-Fi? Haitakuwa ile mzuri ya kupost, but I paid 1,300 shillings a night and maximize on this cash on the other expenditure, isn't it? So I chose my struggles, and that is the thing about life. You need to choose your struggles and choose those things that work within your business. So my challenge to you today is you need to take charge of your life by observing all the things that you need to do. You need to be aware, and then you need to take risks. Otherwise, if you don't take risks, then you'll not be able to grow financially. Mark Zuckerberg going to grow Facebook, he had to take a risk on his idea or the idea of a friend, whichever side sounds comfortable, isn't it? Anyone who has been able to grow financially, at some moment they've been able to take a risk. And taking a risk sometimes means you may be labeled unique, you may be labeled given names, isn't it? But eventually when the idea works, people will associate with you, isn't it? So remember to be aware, remember to take charge, and remember to take risks.
Why do people start businesses? Somebody. How many of you would like to start a business? Maybe that's a good question. Okay. I can see like 30%, 10%. Sir, at the back, why would you like to start a business? And please tell us your name. So you can stand so that we see it here.
My name is Denzel. And I would like to start a business for myself.
You'd like to?
Start a future for myself right now because businesses generate income. And income keeps your future safe for you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Denzel says that he'd like to start a business to facilitate generation of income for himself. In 2006, I did an investment in town where I was sold a premises and I started a restaurant. Through my prior education, I entered into the business using a company. Are you together? It was down River Road somewhere, and it cost me then about 3 million shillings. I used a company to enter into the business. The owner of the premises, who is not the person who sold me the space, because the person who sold me the space was somebody else, the businessman who had it, right? Gave me a document called a lease, and the lease said that the lease is not transferable. Do you understand what that means? That I cannot transfer that lease to somebody else. 7 years later, I wanted to exit the business, and I got an offer for, I think, about 6 or 7 million shillings. But the lease was not transferable. What did I do? I sold the shares of my company to the buyer. Are you together? So I exited my company, and the buyer became the new owner of the company. But the lease was not to me, the lease was to the company. Am I speaking too technically? Is it making sense? You get it? So you must understand these business structures because they help you in achieving certain goals. I chose to go the company way because I thought that financial management might be better explained from the company side. So next we ask, how is the business started? If you wanted to be selling boiled eggs, what would you do? You'll start with a budget, a business plan, yes. At one point you're going to have, let's say, 5,000 shillings, isn't it? So where will you have gotten the 5,000 shillings from? Maybe you've borrowed, isn't it? Maybe it's your saving. So if I use the business terminologies, the 5,000 shillings is your capital, right? It is recorded under a capital account. And the same money is recorded as cash, a cash asset. Are you together? You'll buy eggs, sell them, boil them, sell them, and eventually you're going to have a profit, isn't it? In the business parlance, the net assets are always equals to the capital. How many of you are business students? Put up your hand if you're a business student. Okay. If I go to get too technical, you can raise up your hand and then I can lower the explanations. So when a business is started, how is business performance reported? Because you're not business students, I'll try and tell you. Business performance is reported through what we call financial statements. Financial statements, I think you should know that. The most basic of the financial statements, one of them is what is called a profit and loss account, isn't it? How do you tell that your business is performing? You look at the profit or the loss, isn't it? But that is just one indicator, right? We also have what we call a balance sheet. Because when I sell my eggs, which I bought for 5,000 shillings, and now I have 10,000 shillings, right? I should be able to have either money or assets that are equivalent to 10,000 shillings, isn't it? So when your assets are growing, it is a reflection of positive business performance. But if you go to buy your eggs and you buy spoiled ones, or they are broken or rotten, or whatever happens, and you lose out, what happens to your capital? It goes down. So your balance sheet will stop reading that you have 5,000 shillings, but instead you probably have 3,000 shillings. So when your balance sheet is declining or shrinking, it means that your business is declining or not growing. When your balance sheet is appreciating, it means that you are profiting. Alright? There's something called a cash flow. A cash flow is, in a way, what Brian was talking about. That when you have a job, you want to be able to pay for bus fare, you want to be able to pay rent, you want to be able to buy, he talked of Wi-Fi, you want to go and chapa sherehe, right? The analysis of your ability to meet those expenses is realized through a cash flow. If you remember the document that Danny had put up, there was a budget and there was something like he had written ETC or some money coming in. A cash flow shows the monies coming in and the monies going out. And it is desirable that you have excesses in, basically a surplus in cash flow and not a deficit. Because if you have a deficit in a cash flow, it is 20th and you're supposed to pay for your matatu to come here. How will you come here? It's going to be a problem because unless you go and negotiate with the Makanda and tell him pro next month, which doesn't happen, it means that you're not able to commute and come. Alright? So the desire even of a business is to be able to stay afloat. You must try and manage your cash flows. There's also something called the statement of changes in equity. It basically shows how, back to the egg business, the 5,000 shillings which you invested is increasing. How has it become 7? How has it become 8? There are things we call retained profits, which means that once you sold your eggs, like for a profit of 4,000, you decided to pull out 2,000 and give it to the shareholder. The shareholder is yourself. And then the other 2,000, you put it in what we call retained earnings to continue to help the business to grow. So that tomorrow, instead of buying eggs for 5,000, you can now buy eggs for 7,000. Are you together? Have I lost some people? I think might be a bit hungry, yeah? What we have, maybe you can't see too well, is just an example of our balance sheet. We've got assets on one side, we've got liabilities, and then we have the shareholders, that is the shareholders' equity. Basically, that shows what the shareholders own. And if you look at this figure here, down there, 472, and the other side over here, 472, that's why it's called a balance sheet. But the assets and the liabilities are able to balance it. There's something called a capital structure. A capital structure is this bit here. Can you see that? There is common stock, additional paid capital, retained earnings, and treasury stock. Okay? A capital structure is a structure that defines how your capital is structured. Where could capital be coming from? I asked you earlier, and you said you could have saved, isn't it? Or you could have borrowed, right? So if you look at this example here, we are saying that there are two types of capital structures. Two types of capital. There is equity and there is debt, right? So equity is shareholders' funds, like the money you have saved. Equity capital, there is something called preferred capital. Preferential. Or if you talk about equity capital, there is what we call ordinary shares, right? You have the ordinary shares. There is what we call preferential shares, right? It is money that has been given to the company and does not have a way to reduce. It remains in the company unless the company is liquidated. The other side is debt capital, and debt capital pertains to money that is borrowed. For example, when the government says they are issuing an infrastructure bond, they are borrowing from you to make a road and then pay you back with an interest. You understand? Right? There are things called term loans. When I want to buy a truck, I can go to Equity Bank and tell them to give me a loan to be paid in 5 years. They'll give me the money and I'll pay back in 5 years. The money they give me forms part of my capital and it can be recorded under term loans, right? Public deposits, I think probably you can put it as treasury bills and bonds. Debentures is like a loan you give to somebody, to a company, and they pay you a fixed amount every year, right? Financial management is a complicated topic, but it's not very complicated. Daniel asked us, what is financial management? How many of us remember what Daniel said? He used what we call in English adjectives. He used certain adjectives to describe financial management. Somebody try? You've seen some of them. What adjectives did he use? Do you remember something like planning, controlling, monitoring, okay, organizing, prioritizing, alright? The definition of management, forget about financial. What is management? Management is a function of planning, organizing, directing, controlling and monitoring a resource. So the management of this university, it plans for this university. It organizes, it directs, it controls, it monitors what happens here. So if you bring in the word finance, it's the same thing. So you plan, you organize, you direct, you control, you monitor finances. Financial management can be both an individual's work or company's work. You understand? The fact that I'm describing financial planning, financial management under a company does not exclude you from planning, from organizing, from directing, from controlling, from monitoring your finances. It's the same thing that Brian and Daniel have talked about, aspects of them. Are you together? Why is that necessary? Why is it necessary to plan, to organize, to control, to monitor, to direct? Remember we say that you start a business to make a profit, isn't it? So if you do not plan, if I use the example of Brian, when you go to the supermarket and money is just calling out, I mean things are calling out because you have money and you end up spending your money in the wrong way. Are you able to achieve your goals? So the company is also faced by the same challenge. That is why you'll find maybe this university can afford to buy buses, but they think that they need the money more in building lecture halls than in buying buses. So what do? They outsource transport function. And they organize with another transport provider and tell him, you'll be ferrying our students for us. Do you have a swimming pool in this university? Okay. I'm sure there are some people sometimes who come to swim here from other institutions, do they? In some cases, you'll find that, right? Because those people have evaluated and seen it is better to use other people's pools than building our own because maybe we don't have enough money, right? Or this is not our priority. So all these things pertain to financial management. I put up some quotes, and one of them is from Steve Jobs. Who knows who Steve Jobs was? Yes? The founder of who? Apple, isn't it? Yes. Steve Jobs says, your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. So if you love what you do, you will plan, you will organize, you will direct, you will control, you will monitor. And there's somebody who called Natasha Manson who says, money, like emotions, is something you must control to keep your life on the right track. Alright? In Kiswahili, apart from Yasipite Sindwele, there is another proverb that says, ukiona vielea, Je, vimefanywa nini? Vimeundwa, si ndio? Yes. So when you see people successful, please appreciate that there is a bit of effort behind that success. You don't need to say it another way. When you see women beautiful, or a girl beautiful, or a man with good morals, realize that there is some effort behind it. It just doesn't happen. The father or the mother of that child alimweka laini, si ndio? My parting word is as follows. All these things are wonderful. All these things are great. And that's good. But where do we start? I insist to you that you must struggle to understand virtue, because it is in self-control that you are able to carry on with all these things.
Okay, I hope you have been answered well enough. Okay, so we are going to move on to the next step, where I am going to invite Miss Omari, who is going to do the giftings and the vote of thanks. Na msiende mmepambwa kitumbo tafadhali. Mmepambwa. Tukibanana mikono itakuwa mlivia, so tunakula hapa. So I'm really urging you tusitoke sahi. So I'm going to invite Miss Omari to take over, and I will be able to explain the protocols as we're going to get to the food sector. Sawa. Okay, Omar, the stage is yours.
Good afternoon. Mkoaje? I hope mmelan ama niaje? Okay, so I want to first thank the Almighty God for seeing us through the whole procedure. It was not easy. Hey, tumepigana, si uongo. Kwa tumepigana sana, but at least I can see the friction kidogo, but I can see the event in what to expect. I also want to thank our speakers, our very able speakers. Thank you for taking your time. Najua mnakuwa very busy, but at least you may take time. Mkatusikiza, mkatuongelesha, which we appreciate. We also thank Madam Tage for letting us practice. Because ukiangalia vizuri hizi ni vitu tumelearn from first year, crisis management, communication. Yeah, so tumezi put together, then to come up with something, one thing. I also want to thank our service providers. First, the Multimedia University for at least tumepata hall ya kufanya our events. For our caterers, of course, simesikia tumeshughulikiwa kitumbo. Our camera people and DJ, of course, for entertaining us, our able MC, Munoka, thank you. And for that matter, we have something small to appreciate our guests. And for that matter, I want to call my group mates to come in front so that we can be able to give our guests the gifts. Julie, Constance, Charlene, CEO, Madam CEO, I'm sorry. afternoon. As you heard, I'm Madam CEO. My name is Jiestablish. I'm a communication student. Well, it has not been easy planning. Okay, we planned a lot in our minds. The implementation was another thing. Budget-wise, well, but we thank God for wherever we reached. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate it.
Good afternoon. I'm Faith Manisha and I'm the event designer. The linen you see on the tables and the bow tie, we designed. I'm not the only person who designed, but you know it's a group work, so every person being the treasurer, every person had to participate. Now being the event designer, you are welcome, and now we come at the end of it all. We thank you for showing up and we are glad.
Good afternoon. My name is Gladys Mbaje. I was the event coordinator, and I would like to especially thank Dr. Mtange for receiving our 1,000 phone calls I did to make sure this event was a success, giving us instructions, not tiring, giving us letters when needed be. Thank you very much, and thank you to every one of you who have attended the event. Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Constance Mbenzi. I was in charge of registration and catering. Mimi ndio make sure mmekula nyama na light. Yeah. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Lucy Olewe. I was in charge of social. I was going to the man.
Financial management skills to do apply.
We applied budgeting, planning. So, the first point we came up with a list that we put in our proposal, our event proposal, which she give us time to edit. But afterwards, when we were planning, so hapa tunahitaji tuongeze, hapa tunahitaji to reduce or hatujarenti or tuongeze. So it was a hectic process. But I'm glad we experienced at least to bit of point we shall have an idea on what we're supposed to be doing. Yeah, also networking. Tulizunguka tukitafuta twende wapi, nani tutaongea naye, linen tukaenda Nairobi textile. So we really moved about to make sure that the event was a success. Lastly, I want to thank our able audience, our classmates, our friends from outside, in a Clement, in a Charity, in a Mweni. Thank you. We come for your event also. Okay. Sasa wakati wa zawadi, and we want to start with our able speaker, Daniel Mwangi.